Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course, you good old boys in Canada. But Big C, there's no one we love more than all the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys?
It's a beautiful Monday down here, wonderful Labor Day weekend, all the heat, all the festivities, the moonshine and barbecue. What a beautiful
Yeah, you know, you Southern boys, I'll tell you that moonshine stuff. Out here in California, they still think moonshine is the eclipse. I said, man, you got the moonshine? He said, the eclipse was last week. I said, okay, I understand. I guess it's a regionalized thing, but I do want to say today is a beautiful September the 4th, 2017, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, college football, such a lot of great games over the weekend. You know, just being down in Southern California just this past week, previewing the Pac-12, you know, the Rose Bowl, obviously being near the Rose Bowl, and then we see the second greatest comeback in the history of college football, Division I. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the electricity of college football, is there anything better? I know everybody lives for the NFL, but what you get on a week-to-week basis with the purity of college football that you never hold it out about.
Yeah.
You know, it's just electrifying. You know, teams come from these huge deficits, come back and win against quality opponents. You see teams that you don't expect to win. You know, a lot of great victories over the weekend.
Yeah, and I want to ask your question. Also, I do want to bring this up for some of our high school listeners. We previewed the number one high school football game in the country going into the weekend. It was Mater Dei of Santa Ana, Southern California, versus Bishop Gorman of Nevada, Las Vegas, who had not lost a game in 54 games. So they had a 55-game winning streak snapped going into that game, and congratulations to Mater Dei Santa Ana. A lot of these teams, you'll see them going on to the college football level. The reason I bring that up, Big C, Josh Rosen at UCLA, he played at St. John Bosco in Southern California, another Southern California powerhouse, and now he's doing this thing at UCLA. So a lot of these high school programs that you see all over the country, listen to those names because you'll see some of those players playing on Sunday and on Saturday before then. But let me get back into the game with the UCLA and Texas A&M. You know, so many people, Big C, and maybe they do this wrong. They always want to be the first to break the news. People say, well, Kevin Sumlin, his job's in trouble. His job's in trouble. How's his job in trouble after one game, Big C? That doesn't make any sense to me. Your thoughts? No. Yeah.
When you look at Kevin Sumlin and Texas A&M down in the Rose Bowl over the weekend, Johnson, you and I had discussed on our program over the previous 2 weeks who was the most rated NFL quarterback in the Pac-12.
Josh Rosen.
Everybody had talked about Sam Darnold. He
Yeah.
was pedestrian
Yeah.
over the weekend.
Yeah.
We had highlighted, Josh Rosen
Yep.
at UCLA, saying that he was the best NFL-rated quarterback in the Pac-12, and they have 4 elite quarterbacks in the conference.
Yeah.
And he proved us right, Charlie, because he threw for just under 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Epic
Yeah.
comeback by a quarterback that, everybody didn't have ranked as the top quarterback in the country. We saw the kids Browning from Washington, who didn't look, electrifying. We saw Donald picked off a couple times.
Yeah.
But Rosen looked like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter back in January, Charlie.
Well, I tell you what, Big C, when you bring that up also, and when we talk about the coaches' staff, if you look at Moore at UCLA, it's funny how the wind can change. A lot of opinions are just like the wind. There were people saying, oh, my goodness, Moore's going to be in trouble at UCLA at halftime. Okay? The guy's in trouble at halftime, Big C, you kidding me? What I like about college football, and the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy of them all, it's a gorgeous stadium. It doesn't have the deepness of some of the newer stadiums that look like they're built, they can be twice the height of the Rose Bowl, but the bowl spreads out so far. It's not like you're walking way up, really high up the stairs, Big C. But what I love about the backdrop is it has the backdrop of the San Gabriel Mountains down there in Southern California. That light blue color, that powder blue color, that Bruin blue that UCLA has, I don't know if anyone outside of North Carolina has that color blue, and the way it shines off of their golden helmets, the Golden State, it just really, it reeks of college football. What I do love about Texas A&M, they are loaded with athletes. They have some great players. They did miss a couple of interceptions in the end, but that's players making plays. I just want to get you to think a little bit about Texas A&M still dealing with the devastation. I think College Station is about 90 miles away from Houston, so a lot of their players were still dealing with some of the issues of the flooding in Texas. But that Saturday, you couldn't tell because they were so focused playing that football game, at least in the first half, Big C. Yeah.
Was someone that originally coached prior to going A&M, Charlton. So a lot of those came into play. You got Regents calling for the firing of Summit, but no one talks about taking the scholarship away from a field goal kicker who misses the field goal.
Exactly.
A basic chip shot.
Yeah.
College football is what it is, Charlton. You have great men playing with great intensity, great young men, and this is what they fight for week in and week out. They go to training camp, getting ready for this. And when you walk out there at the kickoff, the game is 0-0.
Yeah.
It's just a matter at the point of when you score your points. Kevin Sumlin was a genius in the first half.
Yeah.
It was up 38-2.
Yeah.
Everybody was seeing it free.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, his defense, falls apart. But it wasn't that the defense fell apart. Rosen, who only played, I believe, 6 or 7 games last year due to injuries,
Yeah.
got his stride. And when you're playing against probably the top pro prospect quarterback in college football, and I'm serious about Rosen.
Yeah.
We can look at Lamar Jackson, the Heisman Trophy winner from last year. Everybody ranked Donald as the top quarterback because he had one great Rose Bowl, but he's not in the top 5 quarterbacks in the country.
No.
And Josh Rosen has proven himself in previous years at UCLA when he was healthy.
Yeah.
He had a shootout last year with A&M down at College Station.
Yeah.
Where A&M had just won the game off of a field goal, so it wasn't a fluke.
No.
What he did, he just been a little rusty for the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, once he shook it off, it was a whole new day. And there was nothing that A&M couldn't do. It's not that A&M's a bad team.
They're great.
Jim Moore knows how to coach college football as well as professional football.
Yeah.
Charlton.
Yeah.
So he's seen it at all levels. And when you come out with him, he's on par with Nick Saban when you talk about mentality.
Yeah.
Because he's been on both of those legends. And so UCLA is not a dog organization. They just have to be in great competition in the Pac-12, Charlton.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Big C, I want to stay in the South again. We're still praying for the people of Texas. So many great things happening with everyone contributing with the Red Cross, and from all over the world, people are really stepping up to help out the flood victim in Texas. So hopefully with Big C Sports, we'll keep bringing that to you as well as other media outlets too. So we'll still have our thoughts and prayers with you. I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, what's up with University of Texas? Obviously, Charlie Strong, I thought they needed to give him one more year. He got rid of some of the bad characters. He had the program going in the right direction because he put the mentality there first. And they fire him. Now he's at Southern Florida undefeated. So they bring in a new coach. I guess they wanted this guy all along down in Texas. And they have the biggest home loss to a non-ranked team in the history of Texas football opening the season, Big C. What in the world's going on in Texas? Yeah.
Down in Houston, it wasn't him, it was the athletes.
It's the athletes. Yep.
He had one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country last year down in Houston. So he goes to Texas under all this ballyhoo fanfare. Okay?
Yeah.
Everybody said the problem in Texas was Charlie Strong because he was a black coach.
Yeah.
So they blackballed him technically.
Yeah.
That's what they did to get him out of town. They said, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
Tom Herman shows in all ballyhoo. 51 points you give up in your first game, Charlton.
At home.
The most points in the history of the University of Texas in an opening game loss.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You think about that. Here's a guy you roll out $5 million for, saying you're going to make us great again. Donald Trump mentality.
Yep.
Come in and get steamrolled at home. Stadium's half empty by the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But this is what you get. You have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
In sports, Charlton. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. It takes a while to build a great program in certain atmospheres. There's some people walk in and get an instant fix. People able to go back to Charlie Weiss. He was instantly successful at Notre Dame.
Yep.
But he had all of Tyrone Willingham's players.
Exactly.
Tyrone Willingham players at all Charleston, he couldn't win 6 games.
That's true.
Okay?
That's
And
very
he
true.
was gone. He went to University of Kansas, never won 3 games.
Yep.
So it showed you that Charlie Weiss wasn't a good coach. But when you look at Tom Herman here, was the writing on the wall when he showed up? You can't do any better than what Charlie Strong did with the groceries in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Charlie Strong was dealt a bad hand at Texas.
Yeah.
It was dealt a lot of disheveled players, poor attitude.
Yep.
And Tom Herman walks in. There'll be excuses for the next month for
Yeah.
Tom Herman.
Oh, they will.
Saying, well, those are Charlie Strong players. They weren't his.
Yeah.
You'll hear that about the University of Texas for the next month, if not the next 2 months, Charleston.
Well, Big C, Texas is going to start out after the first 3 games. They're going to be 1-2. They're going to beat San Jose State, and they'll try to measure. Well, San Jose State plays South Florida also. How do they measure up with that win? But then they're going to lose at USC in the Pac-12. But I think they're going to still make excuses for him because that's the guy they want. It's the complexion of the coach that they're looking for more so than the character of the coach. I do wish all well. Big C, I want to just swing back to the South. I know, were you able to sneak into the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Big C? You said.
What do you mean, see? Nobody recognized me with my sunglasses.
Yeah. I tell you. Yeah. Who's that good old boy? Lee Corso played at Florida State. I really like him. He'll always put something on his head because he'll tell you what team he's going for, so he'll put the elephant on his head. But just give me your thoughts on what happened with Florida State and Alabama outside of Alabama just being the dominant team. They were who we thought they were, Big C. Your thoughts?
It's hard to go with just freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
You got to have some veteran leadership out there when you have a receiving core. And Francois didn't get any help prior to getting hurt. And I think also that's a rule that college football needs to look at, just like the NFL. You can't be going low on these quarterbacks when they're in the pocket. I can see when they're downfield running.
Yeah.
Because there was a tremendous hit on the Virginia Tech quarterback the other night by West Virginia.
Yeah.
That, once he had broken a 47-yard run. But Francois, when you're coming in and you're going after the guy's knees and ankles, injuries will always occur, Charleston, to a quarterback, especially when he's hit from behind.
Yeah.
So, it's not labeled as a dirty play. He's going to have surgery in the next couple of days, and, he's going to have to come back the following year. But Alabama's just a dominant physical team. You can always say that Alabama's down, Charleston.
Yeah.
But even Alabama's second team is better than the lower 10 teams in the country, out of the top 10.
Yeah.
That's how much depth they had. And when you're rotating an 8-10-man defensive line, no one ever gets tired. You're going too deep in the secondary all the time, Charleston. And I don't know where they find these linebackers. I mean, they could be running
Yeah. That might be a nice career move, Big C, when you think about it. Are you advertising? Hey, you can't pay college kids, Big C. Oh, that's not true. You good old boys know how to get away with that. Okay. Hey, what did Ball say? What did the Ball father, the Triple B and all that jazz? He said he doesn't need the NCAA. His son can have a job because they don't need the NCAA to make money, which is right because it's an antitrust violation when you get free labor anyway. But you sound like the Ball dad, Big C. You got to give those guys jobs anyway. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I mean, they get a T-shirt, a sweatshirt, a pair of tennis shoes.
Well,
That's what the average college athlete gets. So when you talk about employment of a college athlete, the universities say it just through the terminology of scholarship.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Here it is. They're reaping all the benefits. I mean, anybody who looks at the labor force.
Yeah.
When you go to work, we all do that.
Yeah.
You go to work, you expect something in compensation in return.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say 90% of the jobs in America, you have to do some form of reading every day. Okay?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, college athletes have to do some form of reading every day also.
Yeah.
But at the end of a week or a 2-week period, we expect some financial compensation for that.
That's very true.
Putting in some reading and some labor. They're not getting that.
No.
They're getting an education. They're getting an education every day they turn work.
Yeah.
Because nothing is the same. Something changes every day.
That's true.
So to say that these college athletes, and I was one many many moons ago, before we had the, we still riding around the horse.
Yeah.
I was one.
Yeah.
And so, compensation is something that everybody looks for in life.
Yeah.
You send your kid out to cut the grass.
Yep.
He expects for some type of compensation,
Yeah.
He's going to do something for him. But you send your kid out there to run, 40 wind sprints in a week.
Yeah.
And you say, well, he's not owed anything.
Yeah.
But the coach is making $11 million.
Well,
There's nothing wrong with that picture.
Ironically, we were talking about UCLA as we were out covering the Pac-12 just last week. UCLA signed a $200 million deal with Under Armour to have their uniforms, with Under Armour logos and shoes and all that jazz. And when you think about it, they got $200 million, and those players get nothing. So obviously, if you can make your money, go make your money. Big C, another great game that happened, maybe out of obscurity. But before we get on that, I just want to ask you one thing. We talked about Alabama's defense. Can their passing game carry them to another national championship? Big C, your thoughts?
There are no roadblocks in the way of Alabama. I think they had their toughest opponent, in Florida to start off with.
Yeah.
When you look at SEC, a very strong conference, Charles.
Yeah.
They have maybe 3-4 teams. You look at Eason at Georgia, he got hurt. You look at what happened to Florida, they lost Charleston.
Yeah.
South might be the challenge in the comp.
Yeah. Well, I know Texas A&M too, Big C. Texas A&M is loaded with talent, even though they lost their top quarterback, one of their quarterbacks. But they'll be back. I mean, they'll be right there in the thick of things. LSU looked really good, dominating BYU, but BYU is not that impressive this year, Big C, in my opinion. Tennessee will find out what they're made of tonight when they play Georgia Tech. So a lot of big games going on in the South. But I want to swing you out to the West, because I know we talked about the USC and the Texas matchup coming up, but that kind of lost a lot of luster. I think Southern Cal woke up more in the second half. But Texas, for them to get beaten that way at home by Maryland, that really takes a lot of the shine off of the hiring that Texas put in. I think they're going to regret that hiring sooner than later, but they will make excuses for it, Big C. But at the same time, if you look at what's going to come up this week, Nebraska, not the same Nebraska team they had when they had Coach Osborne, but they are coming to Oregon. Oregon looked very good against Southern Utah, putting up over 70 points. Is that a game where Oregon can climb back into the Pac-10 race where they can compete with schools like Stanford and also Washington coming up this week? Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
All right, Mike Riley coached at Oregon State for over a decade.
Yeah.
So he knows this Oregon program very well. Even though they have a new coach in Willie Cotton, who was a passing guru coming to Oregon.
Yeah.
Mike Riley has had this mojo on Oregon over the past decade that he's been able to slip in there and get some upset victories all throughout the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So he's very the type of athlete that they have. Charles, he has a much better athletic base at Nebraska than what he had when he was at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Nebraska is a team on the field. I mean, they've gotten better and better each year. They had an excellent victory in the opening game of the season, Charleston. They come to Oregon, they didn't score as many points.
Yeah.
But coming to Oxford Stadium, Charleston, those are those tight confines that Nebraska is playing in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And so as long as that weather's not wet, this is a pretty equal game going in, Charleston. I really don't give Oregon a huge advantage. They may be a 7 to 10 point favorite going into the game.
Yeah.
But Nebraska will get physical with you, Charleston. They will hit you in the mouth. And sometimes these finesse teams, like in the Pac-12, they're not used to that. If you go back to the Rose Bowl last year,
Yeah.
Penn State hit SC in the mouth.
Yeah.
It just happened. Donald had the best passing game he'll ever have in his career in this game.
Yeah.
It was a highlight reel.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do that against Western Michigan, 6 months later.
Yeah. That's a good point, too, Pixie. Really good point to bring up. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. And also, they work with Big C Sports, covering pro athletes, your collegiate players, your high school players, even your mom-and-pop soccer leagues. When you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, another thing that's looming on the horizon, I want to ask you, if we stay down in the Southeastern Conference, when you look at LSU, and obviously there was a lot of talk about why don't they score more points with the athletes that they have, playing a team like BYU, which physically cannot match up with LSU. Orgeron had a nice game plan, just pound the ball. Are you impressed with LSU, or are they a team that's really not ready to compete with Auburn and, of course, Alabama down there in the SEC? Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
You got Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, A&M. Other than, Florida sometimes wants to sneak and play football. football.
Yeah.
But other than that, Charlton, there's no better. Alabama and LSU are equal on the athletic basis,
Yeah.
Charlton. But it's been a thing with coordinators down at LSU. They've always had a stalwart defense.
Yeah.
They have just never really gone out and recruited a solid quarterback. They've had two decent quarterbacks in the past 12 years at LSU.
Yeah.
That have been able to lead these guys in the championship games. Other than that, they relied on the other athletes trying to get the job done. When they recruited Fournette, they didn't recruit a quarterback.
Yeah.
They didn't just run the ball.
Yeah.
After a while, people figure out we can play 8 men in the box.
Yep.
Everybody can throw the ball 12 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And so you saw Fournette get worn out down at LSU.
Yeah.
But, this is a situation now that they have a coordinator in that understands college football. They brought him in from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a high-scoring team in the ACC.
Yeah.
And they were the only team to beat Clemson last year.
Yep.
As soon as he gets his toes packaged in some quarterbacks down there at LSU, this is a team that could potentially challenge Alabama for that SEC title, Charlton.
Well, let's look at it more. Big football coming up. SEC style versus ACC. You have Auburn, which had a good win over Georgia Southern. And we know Clemson looked very impressed. I thought Deshaun Watson got drafted. They got a quarterback that plays just like him. He will be tested this week when they bring Auburn into town. That is a huge matchup for both of those programs down in the South. Big C, your thoughts?
I don't understand what Clemson has. This is a team that won a national championship last
Yeah.
year. Just like Alabama was in that game.
Yeah.
Fall off. Great teams don't fall off. They've been on that pinnacle for the last 2 years. So they got a lot of pedigree left on the roster that understands. Yes, they lost 7, 8 guys, starters to the draft.
Yeah.
But they had so many guys backing up that were sitting there little guys. Dabo Swinney hasn't lost his ability to coach
No.
after winning a national championship. You got to understand the young kid he has playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Sitting there learning under Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's true.
So he was ready to play. He walked in ready to play. They scored, 45, 48 points?
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
And they pulled back, Joe. They played a lot of second and third stringers. And I think that's a big plus. When you have a team, Alabama had to play their starters much more than what they wanted to.
Yeah.
But when you have a young team like Clemson that's coming off that national championship and you get a lot of experience from some backups, it's really going to help you in the weeks to come, Charles.
Big C, going up north in Big Ten territory, these games, and some people don't like big on big. I like when the top teams play the top teams. This week we have OU, Sooner Schooner, going up into Woody Hayes territory, the Buckeye State. We have an Ohio State team that really didn't start that strong versus Indiana, but that's what do you expect in week 1? And you have Oklahoma, which looks good. Is Mayfield able to go into the horseshoe and win? I don't know, because I think sometimes you get some of that home cooking, but this might be the game of the week. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, if you look at Ohio State, Charles, they had trouble early in the game against Indiana's passing game.
Yeah.
Now, the quarterback for
Baker Mayfield?
Indiana is nowhere near the quarterback of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Mayfield was 21 and 22 in this game, Charles.
Yeah.
And he was a Heisman finalist last year. He made it to the top 4
Yep.
in the Heisman voting. And so he's a much better quarterback now than he was even last year.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's a gamer. He's a very great competitor, Charles. And I think the athletes this year at Oklahoma are a little better. And with Bob Stoops being gone, Charlton,
Yeah.
I think this offense is a little more wide open. He got a little conservative in the things that he was doing, complacent. It's just sometimes coaches just don't get motivated anymore.
Yeah.
But now you have a motivated first-year coach. You got a quarterback that was hot last year and is even hotter this year.
Yeah.
I looked at J.T. Barrett. He didn't look that hot, Charlton.
No.
He looked a little unrattled. His receiving core is young. He's played a freshman running back who had an outstanding game.
Yeah.
But I think that Oklahoma goes into this game with the revenge factor from last year, what happened in Norman, Charlton.
Yeah.
And look for Urban Meyer to take one on the chin in the horseshoe.
That will be an upset that would shock the Big Ten, Big C. It's going to come down to the wire, in my opinion, but definitely must-see TV. I want to ask you about another coach that's been on the hot seat because he hasn't won a lot of games. Going up to Notre Dame, touchdown Jesus. Obviously, when you beat Temple, obviously that's not a game that shocks a lot of people. But right now, you look at Georgia. Georgia's on one of those top teams of the SEC you talked about. And Notre Dame going actually at home, getting Georgia at home. I think some touchdown Jesus, what do they call that? Some home cooking. Maybe the good old boys from the South might bring some moonshine to Jesus, or is it wine that Jesus likes? Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
Georgia. I mean, he got injured, hurt his knee, and the game's not going to require surgery for Charleston. He's not going to be there. But they have two outstanding running backs in Murray and Chubb
Yeah.
down in Georgia. These kids, battle each other to see who's going to outrush each other. They both had 100 yards this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. They keep stacking the cabinets with these kids. They keep bringing them in.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be the challenge. Georgia is going to be a lot more fiercer on defense than what Temple was. There's going to be some great athletes that he had to face for the second game in his career. Temple was a good warm-up.
Yeah.
But to see Georgia across the board where you have great athletes in every position, Charlton, is going to be a real challenge for Notre Dame. Now, the SEC has fared well against everybody they played.
Oh, yeah.
The last time Georgia played an SEC team, I believe it was in a championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, not Georgia, but Notre Dame.
Yeah.
When they lost to Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they showed up.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that, this will define Brian Kelly's season.
Yeah.
If he loses to Georgia, Charlton, it's going to be downhill from here from Notre Dame because I don't think that they'll recover.
Yeah.
But if he beats them, everybody will be talking about him as comeback coach of the year.
Well, Big C, another thing that makes a big difference in any game is ball control, how you control the ball. Georgia does have some injuries there with the quarterback being knocked out. A big game for Notre Dame, obviously. Sometimes we talk about hype and we talk about quarterbacks, and I think one of the better quarterbacks on the West Coast is up at Washington State. Had a great game. He was at one time 20 for 20, even though it's against Montana. But again, it's the first game. He had a great game leading Washington State to a victory. Upset, perhaps, but Boise State coming in the town. They're at Washington State. Boise State has beaten a lot of people over the years. This is a make-or-break season for Boise State. They have to win this game to stay relevant because their conference is not as strong. Washington State definitely has to win this game if they're going to remain the talk of Pac-12 upset championship. Big C, your thoughts? Your thoughts on Boise State going into Washington State this weekend?
Well, Boise State is quarterbacked by Rippon, who is the nephew of Mark Rippon, who won a Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
But Falk, he's not second to anybody. We raved about Rose's game down at UCLA.
Yeah.
Falk, to me, is still the best quarterback in the Pac-12, even though Rosen is the most NFL ready.
Yeah.
Falk is the best college quarterback in the Pac-12. This kid, as you said, at one point was 20 for 20.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's going against a Pop Warner team. Or even in practice.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a quarterback that's 20 and 7 on 7.
Yeah.
He hardly ever does.
Yeah, that's very true.
This is a quarterback that can throw the ball.
Yeah.
He's huge. He can see over most of the line.
Yeah, he definitely has a package.
They didn't have a defensive lineman over 6'3", and he's 6'5", 6'6". So his sight lines are all there. But I love what Folk can do.
Yeah.
And if they beat, win this game this week, Charlton,
Yeah.
you're going to be hearing about them possibly chasing the Pac-12 title.
That's definitely a concern for a lot of teams because up in the great Northwest, a lot of people don't think about Washington State. They think about Washington, but they definitely, when you can throw the ball the way he does, you're in a game with everybody, Big C. I was surprised to see Cal Berkeley going across the country and knocking off North Carolina that actually beat Florida State last year, but to travel across the country and get it done there, that looks good for Cal. But I do want to stay down in the West Coast for a little bit. Iowa had a game with Wyoming. Wyoming has I think they say he's a no-miss, a first-round quarterback, draft pick, can't miss NFL. They put up 3 points against Iowa. The competition is not the same. Your thoughts on Iowa? Are they a team that can also challenge for the Big Ten this year, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, just 2 short seasons ago, Charlton, Iowa was undefeated until they got to the championship game
Yeah.
against Michigan State.
Yeah.
So this is a team that, can play. They have big corn-fed fellas that the Midwest.
Yeah.
Allen was really hyped by a lot of people because of his height.
Yeah.
But they see now against major competition, he's just a pedestrian quarterback, Charlton. He's not what he is. It's amazing when these pre-draft people come out and talk about,
Oh, yeah.
this guy, will be a top-round draft pick. No,
Yeah.
he won't.
Yeah.
He'll be sitting in the middle round, getting picked off by a team at that point. Because when you're going against the big boys who will be playing in the NFL, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And, when you're facing a lot of speed in the big, Big 20 conference?
Yeah, something like Big 19 of the Big 10, Big 19.
Yeah, okay, I get confused.
Yeah.
Versus playing in the WAC, Charlton, where you have a lot of guys that are just not there. Size is not always what makes a quarterback.
No.
We've seen huge kids over the years get drafted and falter. And I think Allen is one of those. They try to compare him against Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
But he's not the same talent as Roethlisberger. He even got dinged up in the game, Charlton, playing against big opponents in Iowa.
Yeah.
So he may not be ready to play next week. But Iowa, solid team, Charlton. And like I said, 2 years ago, they were in the Big Ten championship game and lost to Michigan State because they had lost their top running back in the game.
Yeah, that's very true. Last college football game, Big C, Tennessee down there in Moonshine Country playing at Georgia Tech. What a great matchup. You have the ACC and the SEC, and both teams obviously got to be very physical. Tennessee had a great passing game last year. Your thoughts on Tennessee going and playing Georgia Tech in week 1, Big C? Your thoughts?
This is almost like a rematch of the historical game. 1972, Georgia Tech and Tennessee started the first 2 black quarterbacks in major college football.
Wow.
They honestly did. You know, it was the first time that matchup had ever occurred.
Yeah.
And you know, coming back into Bobby Dodd Stadium down here, Tennessee is going to be playing Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
They don't have Joshua Dobbs, who's now with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, the astrophysicist quarterback that they had at Tennessee, ironically a black man who is not cerebral.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a team, you know, when you look across the board, 2 contrasting types of offense.
Yeah.
Tennessee is running that pro-style offense where Georgia Tech is still running that wishbone type of offense.
Yeah.
So it's going to be challenging for Tennessee's defense because they're going to get a lot of cut blocks. And I don't know if you can ever emulate that enough in practice.
Yeah.
Where you're getting cut all the time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be about how well do they use their hands, Charlton, to protect their legs. If Tennessee is going to be able to pull this out with a first-time starter.
Well, it should be a fantastic game. As we close out, Big C, I look at golf. Justin Thomas, actually, I guess this is his 5th win of the season, but they were looking at Jordan Spieth going on and winning the Dell Open up in Boston, Big C. But your thoughts on the golf tournament? I know football dominated the weekend, but congratulations to Justin Thomas also for winning the Dell Open up in Boston. Big C, your thoughts on the golf tournament? Yeah, about 350. Yeah.
I mean, the state of golf is not what the state of college football is.
No.
College football is a god.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at it around the country and you look at the number of people who attend the games, we had stadiums from 15,000 to 120,000
Yeah.
being packed on the weekend. The sheer madness and jubilance that college football brings around to everybody.
Yeah.
But when we look at these golf tournaments, I mean, they shot some really low scores
Yeah.
out there in Boston, but you know the thing about it, there's so many games on of college football. It's hard to get interested in anything else, Charlton. I was talking with a friend, and you know, you mentioned a lot last year that the ratings are down in the NFL. The reason why the ratings are down is because no one can stay on one game any length of time.
Yeah.
When you have an NFL Network package or whatever, when you can sit there and have 8 games on at one time, it's hard to have a Nielsen rating. And hey, he watches
Yeah.
the game for any length of time.
Yeah, and
And so that's the thing with golf. You're sitting here trying to watch a golf tournament, and even today on Monday, there's college football being played.
Yeah.
On Sunday, there's
Yeah.
college football being played. So
Yeah.
golf never had a chance starting on Thursday.
yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He used to always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, and rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
I'm looking to get some sleep after watching all these games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting, Charlton, to have college football back again. I mean, we go for 5-6 months without this type of jubilance in our
Yeah.
life. We got to sit up and listen to wives. We got to listen to kids.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you can tune it all out and turn the TV up.
Well, that's a good old statement. That's Big C making that statement, but you can also listen to him every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We always want to tell you, there's never, ever any reason for domestic violence. If you know anyone in trouble, just call 911 because no one should have to deal with that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.